right, take a comfortable seat on your yoga mat. Welcome yourself with a nice tall spine. Sit cross-legged or back on the heels. Take a moment to turn your gaze low or close the eyes. So our all levels, 60-minute practice all month long. We're weaving together with the flow and the movement with a bit of stillness and yen. And that can even come across here in your breath. Emphasizing in particular this week that space in between the inhale and the exhale, and then the space at the bottom of the breath, the end of the exhale, right before you take the next inhale breath. First, just letting that concept come in to brain, into your mind. And then starting to apply it to the actual breath. Can you sense and even expand upon just a little bit of a pause at the top of the breath before you exhale, and then again at the bottom of the breath before the next inhale. For some folks that feels more natural. For some, it's really hard to find those spaces. Wherever you are on that spectrum, know that it's okay, and this is just a turning to notice. And as you continue to work with your breath, I'll tell us a little story to get going. As I drove home from dropping off the kids at school, I dropped off the first one, and I drove right on past the second one's school this morning, just a bit on autopilot, headed home. And we had to circle back, and I've done this a time or two with Luna, and we always have a little bit of a laugh. But it brought back to mind, I'm reading a book right now on changing habits, changing your mind, and how much of our day is on that subconscious, just this is what I do. Driving certainly becomes one of those habitual movements and where exactly you're going. And if we forget to really tune into it, sometimes we'll miss things, like missing the school this morning. And we circle back, we come to it, the mind goes into that conscious recognition. But it also made me draw back to this little bit from Light on Yoga. A book I reference a lot for the postures themselves, but BKS Iyengar opens the book with some great words on yoga. I'm going to read just a few paragraphs, a few sentences to you. The very opening page, what is yoga? Halfway down that page, he says, when his mind, intellect, and self are under control, freed from restless desire, so that they rest in the spirit within, a man becomes a Yukta, one in communion with God. A lamp does not flicker in a place where no wind blows. So it is with a yogi who controls his mind, intellect, and self, being absorbed in the spirit within him. Let's say being absorbed in the spirit within her. So as we draw into focus, into witness throughout this month, absorb into yourself. Just 2 more breaths here. Again, still noticing that space right before the inhale, right before the exhale. And then combine it with some movement. Nod the chin down to the chest and rock the head just easy from side to side. Keep right ear over towards the right shoulder. Walk the left hand out to the side. So these are my opening, like habitual movements. Right hand onto the left ear for that little tug out to the side. And yet, because I've already called mine to be in notice, and I hope you the same, it's not a mindless exercise. Left ear over towards the left shoulder, switch it to the second side. And as many times as you've done this action and the poses that we'll do in this practice, just keep checking in, keep noticing so that it's not just the habit of movement. Come back, both hands to the thighs, chin to the chest, and then lift the head and open the eyes. So we're gonna start nice and easy today. I want us to lie down onto your back. If you have a strap, a scarf, or something nearby, you can unroll it and use it. Our hands also, of course, work. But you're gonna lie down onto your back. Have the strap handy at your side if you're wanting to use it. But first, just squeeze your knees into your chest. Nice hug, rock a bit from side to side. Good, squeeze the knees in even tighter than you first did, and then draw them more open and more towards your armpits, so a little wider. Keep doing that with your right leg, but send your left leg down to the yoga mat. And anytime that bottom leg is down, it can be all the way lengthened or sole of the foot on the ground. Feel free to try it both ways throughout the movement here. Okay, and then pull that knee back in right in front of the chest, and again, a nice strong squeeze. They're just hoping to give a little release in the hip flexor. Let the femur bone, the thigh bone really sit nice into the hip socket. Okay, let's stretch the leg as straight as it'll go. First, just with the hands behind the thigh, give it a little bit of a pulse forward and back. And then maybe a little bend in the knee and take the hands to your calf and do that same pulse a little bit forward and back. Cool. And this is where, if you're using a strap, you'll want to place it on the bottom of the foot. Otherwise, you might want to just keep the hands at the calf and make the leg as straight as it'll go. Give yourself enough room on that strap to make the leg straight. And find your full range stretch for now. Knowing that this full range stretch, body's probably a bit cold, still warming up. If we did this at the end of practice, there should be some difference. So just give yourself the leverage to know what feels good now might need to be a little back from what you think is that full range for you. Okay, we're going to take the leg out to the side. So again, more towards that armpit line. Still holding on with the strap or the hand. Work with your breath. Try to find those little moments of pause, what's there for you. And then come across the center. Switch hands if you're holding onto the strap, and take it across the midline of the body. Take the leg across the midline of the body. I like to go just a little bit until I feel the stretch through the outer butt and thigh, You could also lay the leg all the way over if that feels best to you. And then back up to the center and release. Stretch both arms overhead, big full reach. Notice how different you feel from right side to left side. Is it a little bit? Is it a lot? And let's try to even things out. Pull the left knee into the chest. And again, you can have sole of the right foot or just right leg all the way down. Keeping the knee quite bent, pull the knee out underneath more of the armpit line. Just different ways to access and get a little release in that hip flexor. Okay, bring it back across more, right into the center. Nice strong squeeze. And then straighten the left leg. Hold behind the thigh at first and make that easy pulse. Again, here, maybe a little bend in the knee. And then change the hands to behind the calf and do the same thing. And then I do want the leg to go as straight as we can, either continuing to work with the hands on the calf or the thigh, or use your strap. Again, hands can be as far away from the foot on that strap as needed to make the leg straight, and you're kind of trying to find your fullest flexibility for right now, this moment, this breath. Not judging that against anyone or any other piece of your day. Okay, keep going. Take the leg out to the side now. I'm just switching on some music for us. Good, and then back to the middle. Go across the center line of the body until you feel a nice stretch along outer glutes, outer thigh, that IT band. Anytime you happen to come to the mat, 5-10 minutes before class, this is a great way to start out. It does take a little time, so I don't always do it for us in class. Okay, you come back to the middle and then release the leg. Hopefully a little more even from side to side here. Stretch the arms again overhead, nice big stretch. Good, pull the knees into the chest, give yourself that hug. Well, thanks for taking the slow open and time to stretch the legs. And then rock yourself up and all the way over to all fours. Here in all fours, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, right into cat and cow. And from cat and cow, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pedal the feet back and forth in dog pose. And then send both heels evenly towards the yoga mat. Take an inhale breath, lift the heels all the way high. Can you pause at the moment between the inhale and the exhale? And then as the exhale comes in, start to send the heels back down towards the mat. Same things, find a still pause between the exhale and the inhale. And then rise back up, heels high. Doing that a couple of times, trying to connect that pause in the breath with a pause in movement. Adding movement to a breathing practice, a meditation practice, usually quite helpful for me because that's how I connect with things. One more time. Lift the heels, little pause. Exhale, release the heels down, little pause. Drop the knees back down to the mat, shift to child's pose. Twisted child's pose, take the right arm, thread it through under the left, set the shoulder, ear, side of the face down to the mat. Unthread the hand, take the left arm underneath. And unthread the hand. Come through all fours and then change to high plank. So straight legs, knees off of the ground. Straight arms, shoulders right over the wrist. Tense the glutes, lengthen the tailbone, tone your abdomen. Always look a little forward rather than dropping the head down so that the neck and shoulders don't have to take that weight of your head. It's too much. Can you walk this plank out a little bit? Take your right hand in front of the right shoulder, walk the right hand out, walk the left hand out. How about the feet? Can you walk your feet back a little bit more as well? And then either stay there or try it one more time. Walk the hands a little bit more forward. My fingers are now hanging off of my yoga mat. The heel of the hand's still on. Ooh, squeezing those glutes. Long plank. And then walk the hands back right underneath the line of the shoulder. Suddenly holding high plank feels nice and easy, right? Downward facing dog. Shift the hips up and back. Lift your right leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Knee to the chest, hover forward. Little fire hydrant pose. Take the right knee out to the side and back in. Do it 2 more times. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I take that time to stretch the legs like we did, this movement already feels more doable than if I would have tried it without. That's what we're looking to notice. Downward facing dog now. Is there any sort of different habits that you can also build in? Left leg high, three-legged dog. That can help with the routine movements. Pull the left knee into the chest, hover, and then go towards that fire hydrant. Lift and lower. We're trying for it 3 times. Nice modification variation is to have that bottom knee on the ground instead of lifted. And then shoot the leg back to plank. Finally, shoulders probably burning, mine are. Lower down to the belly. Shalabhasana, send the hands back behind you, palms up, and lift. Locust pose. Lower down, push back to child's pose. Let the shoulders and the upper arms be heavy and just kind of drape over for a moment. Full release. Feel free to let a few exhale breaths out. Good, and then roll to sit back on your heels. Lift the torso vertical. Interlace the hands, flip the palms, and lift. Release the hands, come to a squat. So knees off the ground, heels can be up, but you're in a little low squat at the back end of the mat. Take the hands out in front of you now and balance in that low squat. I like to look just past my fingertips to help focus. And you're going to stand up as slow as you can. Try to keep your heels lifted as you do that. And then what about going back down? Bend the knees, squeeze the inner thighs, calves towards the midline of the body, and lower, lower, lower. Nice strong engagement in the core. One more time, can you stand up? Try to keep the heels lifted if that's working for you. And heels get to go down to the mat. Utkatasana, arms overhead, bend the knees. Take a twist here, left elbow to the outside of your right thigh. Twisted chair pose. Untwist, go right into the second side, right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Untwist, stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Little pause, make the palms touch, and then exhale, swan dive down. Little pause as the fingers touch the ground. All right, walk the hands forward, back to downward facing dog. And again, lift the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Pull the knee to the chest, hover forward, and step the foot all the way through. For a moment here, lower the back knee down to the mat and try to hang heavier. Stay still in this low lunge with knee down. Feel free to add blocks under the hands to make that easier to sustain. Maybe even close the eyes a couple of moments here with the breath. As a way to stoke the mind to stay out of the habit that you go to in a low lunge, do a tiny little pulse back and forth in the legs and keep connecting that movement of breath. Inhale, you lower in, pause for a moment. Exhale, it's just a slight lift and drawing back. Pause, and then the cycle starts again. Good. From here, we'll move back into an active phase. Tuck the toes, lift the back knee. Bring the hands to the front thigh. And add the twist, left elbow to the outside of the right thigh. Good. Keep lifting your back leg strong and steady to help create the space across the low back for the twist. Untwist, set the hands back down to the mat, step to plank pose. Lower to the mat. Cobra, peel the chest up, keep the elbows into the side body. And then change downward facing dog. Okay, second side, so we'll take the left leg all the way through. Find the full length of your lunge and then set that back knee down. Again, hands can stay on the floor, go to the inside of your foot, or I'm propping mine under some blocks just to make it easier to sustain this low lunge. Also a strong piece of putting a little bit of yen, that extra time in a pose. Yen poses also call for us to sort of soften and drop a little bit more, taking us into different habits, which more than noticing the new thing is to help us notice what we naturally had created a habit of doing in the subconscious. All right, we'll change again. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, walk the hands up to the front thigh, and right elbow to the outside of the thigh. Palms together, point the left elbow up to the sky in your twisted lunge. As you untwist, this time step both feet to the front end of your yoga mat. Inhale, half lift, forward fold. Stand, reach the arms all the way to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Little vinyasa flow series here. Lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, step back to plank. Lower down to the mat, Chaturanga Dandasana. Change to cobra or up dog, which is straight arms and legs with the hips up. Downward facing dog, hips up and back. Adding on here, right leg high. Step it all the way through into your low lunge. Right hand to the sky in a revolved lunge. Down dog lunge. Both hands come to the inside of your foot. Spin the back heel down. Keep the hands towards the front left corner of your mat. As you broaden the right knee out away from the right shoulder, keep it still moving over the center of your foot. Legs stay as is. Just walk your hands in a little bit until you can take elbow to your knee, right into your side angle pose, left arm palm down overhead. Inhale, lift the torso, warrior two. So everything nice and broad, energy towards the long edge of your mat. Finally, cartwheel your hands down around the front foot. Step back to plank. Again, vinyasa, lower down to the mat. Lift for cobra or up dog and downward facing dog. Ready for our second side. Left leg, step it all the way through into the low lunge. Lift the left arm to the sky in your revolved lunge. Keep the right hand down. Place the hand to the inside of your foot. Spin the back heel down. Walk the hands towards the right corner in down dog lunge. So down dog lunge tends to get us pretty low and drawn down into the legs. I want you to try to keep that as much as possible, even as we build the torso higher. So first you come to your side angle, left elbow to the knee, right arm palm down overhead. See if you can keep that much descent, let's say, into the front thigh as you lift the torso upright. Warrior two. So trying to keep the legs as is. Yeah, nice. And then really it all should stay as you cartwheel down, fingertips to the ground, lift the back heel. We'll step forward here, both feet to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Go again, lift the arms. I love the routine. And putting in just enough creativity to keep the body and mind guessing together. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Again, lower down. Cobra. Downward facing dog. Now we're going to do all that again, but start on the second side, and I'll add in a little bit more. So start with the left leg high first. Step it all the way forward. Go into revolve lunge, so left arm high. Down dog lunge, spin the back heel down, walk the hands towards the front corner. Release into that little pause between the breath cycles. Come up to side angle, left elbow to the knee, top arm palm down overhead. Sort of halfway up. And again, trying not to change anything about the legs. Lift the torso, shoulders right over the hips for warrior two. Nice strong engagement in the core. Straighten the front leg. Hinge and reach as far as you can towards the front side. And lower the left hand down, right arm up for triangle pose. I notice that my feet are a little wider than I would normally set them for a triangle pose because it came out of that warrior two. Kind of nice to play in what that gives me. Okay, look down at your left foot. Rebend the knee, go back into your low lunge, step through plank. Lower down to the mat. Chest up, cobra. Downward facing dog. On the right side, I usually do it first. It's not so used to being second. Let's see how that feels to go second. Lift the right leg, step it all the way through. And take the right hand high and revolve lunge. Change to your down dog lunge. Hands come to that left corner of the mat as you spin the back heel down. Again, we're challenging ourselves to stay really sitting low in the legs here. As you transition, elbow to the front knee. Now the difference between side angle and down dog lunge is that I've got way more tuck in the tailbone. Scoop the right hip right now underneath you, the right buttocks, so that you can move into that long reach of the top side of the body. And then transition torso vertical, straight up and down. Triangle pose, straighten the right leg. Again, like I want to walk in that back leg, but I'm just going to see what happens if I don't. Hinge as far as you can towards the front leg. And then maybe the right hand. It's a bigger stretch, but it's easier to reach the bottom hand down to the mat for me. What are you experiencing? See it in yourself? Of course, bottom hand can be underneath a block there. Look down at your right foot. If not already, rebend the knee and take yourself into a low lunge. And now it's that left leg that gets to step forward to the front end of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Stand, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Either keeping the hands here for the sake of intention or letting the hands drift down by the side. In mountain pose, stay for 2 more breaths. Again, connecting in, focusing in on that space just before the exhale, just before the next inhale. All right, we're going to do that habit of moving the body through the same sequence one more time, but add in a new thing again. And try to come through each breath as brand new. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. We'll move us at a little bit of a quicker pace to see it as a little bit more new. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower down to the mat. Cobra. And downward facing dog. Back to right side first. Step the right foot through. Take the right hand high into your revolved lunge. And then right away into down dog lunge. Spin the back heel, set the hands down. Climb the right elbow to the right knee. Extend left arm palm down as you scoop tailbone underneath you. Rise up to warrior two. Lift the torso, legs stay. Straighten the right leg. Triangle pose. Stay here a little moment more. Turn the gaze. Change to pyramid pose. So bring both hands down. Do bend the front knee a little bit to shift the legs. Turn the back toes in. Legs go straight again. Hands stay down to the mat or bring them higher to the waist. Again, trying to keep the legs as is. Add revolved triangle pose. Left hand down to the mat, right arm up towards the sky. And I say down towards the mat because I'm going to keep my hand on my shin. Feel free to keep your hand higher on shin, block, or down to the ground. Release the hands, go back to your full pyramid, fold forehead towards the shin. Slide into your low lunge and then to plank. Lower down, cobra or up dog, downward facing dog. Nicely done. Let's check out the second side. Lift the left leg high, step it all the way through. Left arm into the twist, the revolved lunge, I should say. And then down dog lunge, spin the back heel down, open to the opposite direction. Walk the left hand to the left thigh, right arm palm down overhead for side angle. Good. Come up to warrior two. We've got it. We know it in our body, right? And it's just taking little differences so that we stay attuned to it. Straighten the left leg, hinge over, take triangle pose, left hand down, right arm up. Maybe turn the gaze high as well. A couple more breaths here. Pyramid pose. Make the changes you need to get there. A little more bend in the front knee as you adjust. Back leg in, and then you straighten again through the legs. Build the hands higher or lower, and try to fold the torso over the front thigh. And then to go into the twist, I always have to come about halfway up, like lift your torso higher up, get stronger in the abdomen again. And then take right hand down to the floor, block or shin. You can go either side of the foot that feels right for you. Left arm towards the sky. Tone and turn through the belly just like we did in those opening twisted lunges. Change again back to pyramid pose. Parsvottanasana. Then slide into your low lunge this time. Step back again into plank. Remember that extended plank I asked you about in the beginning? Try it again here. So you can either start by walking the feet or the hands a little further back. This also works on the knees. It's just having the knees instead of directly under the hips further back. And then you're trying to walk the hands out. Super great work and stabilization of the core muscles around the belly and the back, transverse abdominals. And then you walk it back in and let yourself go belly down, relax. Make a little pillow with your hands and lay your forehead down. Try to relax here. Maybe shift the hips a little bit from side to side. And then again, shifting back to active practice, reach the arms out in front of you. Ready for our superhero. Lift everything that you can up. You can keep legs and arms wide or squeeze them closer together. Release it all the way down and sit back into child's pose. I'm going to suggest keep your knees close together rather than further apart. For this child's pose, it can be more supportive in low back after that superhero stretch. Let your hands wrap back to your feet. Shoulders kind of curl forward and down with the head. Good. From here, come back to all fours. And I just want to do some big hip circles. Pull your right knee up and towards your chest, and then towards that fire hydrant pose out to the side, and then it just starts to become this full circular motion. And really create as much movement here as you can. Go in one direction several times, and then take the opposite direction. So usually out, around, and down. So if possible, I want this much movement to go into the three-legged dog hip circles. A lot of times I see folks just barely kind of moving around, and I know you've got more action. Let's set it down. Do the second side here on hands and knees. So left knee pulls up into the chest. And you're trying to lift that left knee all the way towards the line of the shoulder, and then create the big circle towards the back, around, down. And then go the opposite direction. Sit back on your heels for a moment and just shake out the hands to give them a little bit of a break, maybe good circles. Then we're going to try to do that same thing in downward facing dog. So again, come to downward facing dog, and now it's three-legged dog. Okay, so if you try this, making as much movement as possible, start like we did, pull the knee into the chest, think fire hydrant, knee moving towards the right shoulder, and then big circle up, back, and around. And the whole body can literally shift a little bit forward and back. So that as you shift slightly forward, it's like you're combining the hip circle with that elongated plank-esque. And then go the opposite way. This is a motion that I notice gets really habitual for folks, and it just slowly shortens, shortens, shortens. I want it to always be like a big thing. And then downward facing dog. I'm always like exhausted from the movement of those hip circles. Lift the left leg up. And again, hover a little bit forward, knee towards chest. Take towards the fire hydrant, out to the side and up and around. So instead of being like an opening warm-up, it's the most challenging portion of class. And then you're going the opposite way, about 3 circles. Work with your breath, strong connection in the core. 2 legs down. Set knees down and then change to sit onto your butt so we can really relax in the shoulders and hands here for a moment. Good. I'll face y'all. Soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. And now instead of your hips doing the movement, your upper body is going to do that movement. I'm just keeping my hands off of the ground. You can certainly have your hands down, have a little bit more support here. It's more challenging with the hands up. Keep going the same way, same direction. Super good. Go the opposite direction. One thing about witnessing, noticing more, sometimes I'll just play with how can I do that same thing, but make it feel a little harder. And the opposite, how can I make it a little bit more accessible and easy? Just always curious. Okay, fold over, heavy into that yen fold. Try to do as little as possible with the tension of the muscles. Release, release, release. Just be. And then give it 4 more breaths right here. We're still together. Slowly rise up, pull the knees in. Give yourself a little hug. Positive self-talk. I am full, I am loved. We're going to lie down onto our back and do what we did at the beginning. Again, you can use the strap or just your hands. Lie down. Pull the knees into the chest and give it that strong squeeze in, knees just right in front of the chest. And then it's going to come out, knees more out, more like you probably typically do child's pose, more underneath the armpits, but toes still kind of towards each other. You keep the right leg like that, but lower the left leg down. And this time we're going to stay in that open position. I'm just going to use my hands, but you can use the strap on the foot here. Open up the right leg over towards the right side. And you might surprise yourself with how that range has opened a bit more, both the range and the flexibility, just through this hour of practice. The body's remarkable. Then take it right across the center line. Switch the hold of the hand all the way across. Again, just a little cross over the center line, or you can go all the way to try to lay the leg down to the mat, to the floor. Some abdominal control to bring the leg back up towards the center. And then hold behind thigh, shin, or foot, with or without strap. Leg as straight as it works. Excellent, friends. Lower the right leg down to the mat. Getting a little ahead of myself. Again, check out how's one side different than the other. For me, still different, maybe not as totally lopsided as when I had first done that at the beginning. Let's take the left knee into the chest and then draw it out towards the side. Change to hold on to the foot and make the leg as straight as you can as it sends its way out towards the left. You're aiming your toes more towards the shoulder, not towards the line of the hip. So it should feel as though it's lifted a bit. Okay, let's try to change across midline of the body so it comes all the way up. Switch hands. And right into the center. Again, hold behind thigh, calf, or on the foot with or without the strap. Props, I always say, are very optional. Use them or don't, but occasionally it's nice to add them in when you usually wouldn't, for that reason of sort of noticing, changing, lifting up habits. Release the legs, stretch the arms overhead. And then hug the knees back into your chest. Squeeze. Set the soles of your feet down to the mat and let the knees fall into the center. Place a hand over your belly and a hand over your chest. And really feel right underneath those hands. Try to let the whole length of your back, your spine really feel heavy against your yoga mat. Close the eyes if they're not already. If that ever feels uncomfortable to you, of course, keep the eyes open. And here I ask that you bring attention to three-part breath. It's a lot of what we were already doing in this practice. So inhale from belly through that bottom hand, in between the hands all the way up to the top hand, to the chest. We add that little pause at the top today. And then exhale from the top hand, the space in between, to the bottom hand, and a little pause. Maybe you want to name it 4-part breath for you. Start with 1, 2, 3, 4 is the pause. And then release. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the pause. One more breath like that. And then let the hands drop to your side and relax the legs all the way down so that you are in your full Shavasana pose here. Make your hands like a fist. Squeeze your toes, scrunch up your face, tense your glutes. Everything tightens in the body. Hold, 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 and then release. Do that one more time, full body, tense, and release. Take the mind's eye down into your toes. Relax in your toes, the top of your feet, the bottom of your feet. Relax your heels. Maybe circle the feet a little bit to relax in the ankles. And just keep the mind's eye wandering up the body as you do that, from the shins to the knees to the thighs. Say relax and release. Take your full body scan from pelvis, buttocks, hips, the belly. Relax and release. Into the ribs, to the chest. Seeing that line, relax and release along the back side as well, low, mid, upper back. Relax and release from the shoulders, upper arms, elbows, lower arms, wrist. Get a little detailed palm of the hand. Knuckle before you get to the fingers. And then all the way out to the fingertips. Travel back up the arms to relax the shoulders. I know my habit is to hold the tension of my body and head, neck, and shoulders. Let it go. Soften your jaw. Let the nostrils flare. Soften behind the eyes. Release the forehead. And then no reason to keep that pause in the breath. Don't hold, just flow in and out of breath. release is feeling so nice, but I realize I'm a little past the hour. Take your time to come back up to a seated position if not already. And these words from Mr. Iyengar, a lamp does not flicker in a place where no winds blow. So it is with a yogi who controls his mind, intellect, and self, being absorbed in the spirit within her. Draw the palms together, thumbs to the sternum, and Anjali Mudra. Allowing our intention to flow into the rest of our day. We'll do that through the sacred sound of Om. Please sing along, listen, or tune it out. Empty the breath. Take a deep breath in. Bow in great gratitude to yourself, each other, this practice. Namaste.